For the next one, I will actually be reading a poem that deals with my last kind of requirement for American poetry, which is kind of a social activism type of message. I say that it's a requirement, but obviously not all American poetry is geared towards a goal of making society better. But I think a lot of the poems and a lot of the poetry that we've read has been kind of leaning that way. And so I think that's an important aspect of poetry that also needs to be somewhere in my definition of American poetry. So for this social activism poem, I really wanted to read Diaz's The Last Mojave Indian Barbie, but it's so long and I already got in a little bit of trouble for my one vlog that was super long because I read two really long poems. So I will find a link to that and put it below, so you should definitely read that one because it deals with a lot of issues of stereotyping and, myths and things like that. So definitely go read that. But for now, I will be reading The Facts of Art, which is another one that kind of deals with more of a historical subject, but it's still very important to modern issues that Native American communities are dealing with. The Arizona highway sailed across the desert, a gray battleship drawing a black wake, halting at the foot of the Orange Mesa, unwilling to go around. Hopi men and women, brown and small and clay-like, peered down from their tabletops at yellow tractors, water trucks, and white men blistered with sun, red as fire ants, towing sunscreen-slathered wives in glinting Airstream trailers and caravans behind them. Elders knew these BIA roads were bad medicine, knew too that young men listened less and less, and these young Hopi men needed work. Hence set aside their tools, blocks of cottonwood root, and half-finished koshari, the clown katsinas, then signed on with the Department of Transportation. Were hired to stab drills deep into the earth's thick red flesh on First Mesa, drive giant sparking blades across the mesa's faces, run the drill bits so deep they smoked, bearding all the Hopi men in white. Bad spirits, said the elders. The blades caught fire, burned out. Massa is angry, the elders said. New blades were flown in by helicopter. While elders dreamed their arms and legs had been cleaved off and their torsos were flung over the edge of a dinner table, the young Hopi men went back to work cutting the land into large chunks of rust. Nobody noticed at first, not the white workers, not the Indian workers, but in the mounds of dismantled mesa, among the clods and piles of sand, lay the small gray bowls of babies' skulls. Not until they climbed to the bottom did they see the silvered bones glinting from the freshly sliced dirt and rock wall, a mausoleum mosaic, a sick tapestry, the tiny remains roused from death's dusty cradle, cut in half, cracked, wrapped in time-tattered scraps of blankets. Let's call it a day, the white foreman said. That night, all the Indian workers got sad drunk, got sick, while elders sang to their kivas in prayer. Next morning, as dawn festered on the horizon, state workers scaled the mesas, knocked at the doors of pueblos that had them, hollered into those without them, demanding the Hopi men come back to work, then begging them, then buying them whiskey, begging again, finally sending their white wives up the dangerous trail etched into the steep sides to buy baskets from Hopi wives and grandmothers as a sign of treaty. When that didn't work, the state workers called the Indians lazy, sent their sun hat-wearing wives back up to buy more baskets, katsinas too, then called the Hopis good-for-nothings, before begging them back once more. We'll try again in the morning, the foreman said. But the Indian workers never returned. The BIA's and DOT's calls to work went unanswered, as the fevered Hopis stayed huddled inside. The small bones, half buried in the crevices of mesa, in the once holy darkness of silent earth and always night, smiled or sighed beneath the moonlight while white women in Airstream trailers wrote letters home, praising their husbands' patience, describing the lazy savages. Such squalor in their stone and plaster homes, cobs of corn stacked floor to ceiling against crumbling walls, their devilish ceremonies and the barbaric way they buried their babies. Oh, and those beautiful, beautiful baskets. So in my Tumblr post, I'll talk a little bit more about the historical context of some of this stuff, but it is very much something that a lot of Native American communities have dealt with when governments will promise work and promise payment, but not so much. They will come and start building things without respect to cultural beliefs and respecting ceremonial, beliefs and things like that. So it's very much something that's still happening today, especially with water here in Arizona. So that's kind of a historical way of shocking people into realizing that it's actually still happening, especially in America where we're supposed to be all, you can practice your religion and no one can tell you not to or infringe upon your right to practice that and have your beliefs. It's very much a double standard, and I think it's very important that Diaz is writing about this stuff, because a lot of people will kind of dismiss that to historical happenings and it's in the past, which is something that happens a lot in the Native American community. So that's something that we should probably try to fix. So yes, I will talk more about all of these poems and all of this stuff in my Tumblr post, so go check that out definitely. And I think that's it. This is the last video for our American poetry class, so it's been great fun. I hope any of you who have been watching these have enjoyed the poems that we've talked about, have enjoyed this kind of literary chit-chat that we've had each week. Hopefully you've kind of found some poetry that you might like or go back to reading very soon. I think that's it for now. So I guess I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.